Hi, my name is Barbara Butler. I'm the host of Conversations with Barbara, and today I'm having a conversation with Joseph Fletcher. Jody, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Before I tell you something about myself, I first want to say thank you for the opportunity to be on your platform.
Of course.
Just a little bit about myself. I am a pastor. I am a husband. I am a father of 6. I am an author of a great book that I think you should go check out. But I am an author of a book called A Mess to a Message. I grew up in Washington, D.C., Southeast Washington, D.C., and thank you.
Okay, Pastor Jody.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, about your childhood, your upbringings, and stuff like that?
Yes, like I said, I grew up in Southeast Washington, D.C. Well, it was a little rough. It was a little rough where I grew up at, but to be honest with you, I never knew as a child that we were poor.
Mm-hmm.
So because I had parents, both of my parents in the household, and both of my parents made sure that we wanted for nothing. So I knew I didn't know about not having. I did not know that there were more until I got older. So I can't even say that I had a bad childhood. I had a great childhood, even though coming up I decided to make my choices and go another direction, you know what I mean? And because I made those choices became expensive later on in my life because I eventually end up going to jail for some bad decisions that I made, some things that I did. But God saw me through it.
Amen.
But overall, I had a great childhood. I can't even say that I had a bad childhood. I grew up on a street called Brandywine Street in Southeast Washington, D.C., and that street was full of families. So we had a family orientated. I was raised by several parents, and that's the way it was when we were coming up. And so I didn't have a bad childhood. I had a great childhood.
You know what I've realized is that, we're a little older than a couple generations, but the way that the kids are brought up now is totally different than when we were kids. You know, like my neighbors could spank me, you know, if they heard, it's just totally different now. And I just wish that some things change, but some things stay the same.
Yeah, and those values are totally different now.
Yes.
And you know, like my neighbor could correct me.
Yes.
And then tell my mother that they correct me, or tell my father that they correct me. And today, another parent can't say nothing to nobody's child. They be ready to fight. You know what I mean? So they are totally different with their style of upbringing and the way that they chastise their children and things of that nature. But it's needed.
Yeah.
It's definitely needed.
I think a lot of parents try to be their kids' friends instead of their parents.
And it comes from children having children.
Yes.
Because I do work in the system and connected with the Department of Youth and Rehabilitation in the District of Columbia. I work hand in hand with families and at-risk youth that's coming through the system, and majority of the time, the child is not the problem. It's the parent.
Wow.
And because the parent has the lack of, when it comes to parenting, the child suffers. So one thing I always say about youth and about children, if you don't give them structure, they're going to make structure.
Wow.
Right? So when they make structure, they're going to make structure out of their limited ability of what they know. And their structure may not be what we consider as structure. You know what I mean? So yes, and a lot of times it's the parents not knowing, too young. They wasn't raised correctly. They had children when they were young, so they done the best that they can. And now we are where we are when it comes to our youth in this generation. We are hurting. We are hurting. But I believe that God has the power to turn it around, but it has to be done through His people. We have to do our part.
That's good. That's good. What factors contributed to your decision to become a pastor?
I never I never saw myself as a pastor. let's get that straight. Like, I never saw myself as a pastor, even though it was spoken into my life when I was a child. My grandfather was a pastor. I grew up in church, Guiding Light Baptist Church over on Rhode Island Avenue, and I was when I was young, my grandfather told me I was going to be a pastor. But I you at that age, you ain't receiving that,
right?
You know what I mean? And I know I felt like he was just saying that because that's what he wanted for me, because that's what he did. You know what I mean? So I never saw myself as a pastor. I never wanted to be a pastor. I never wanted to preach. None of the above. As a matter of fact, if I had it my way, I would have went totally, the opposite direction. However, my decisions always caused me to be in some places that was not so good. My decisions has been expensive and they cost me. So God, I had to give God a chance. And when I gave God a chance, man, it just went, he blew my mind.
It changed your life.
Yeah, all the way up until this point, God still every day blows my mind with the things that he does in my life, and I have nothing to do with it.
Wow.
Nothing.
What do your relationship with Jesus look like, and how has that impacted your everyday life?
Well, my relationship with Jesus looks great. It looks great because now I don't try to drive. I allow him to lead, because I have gotten to the point now that I know that I can't do it.
Right.
And because I can't do it, I just ask God to show me. I pray. My relationship with God allows me to kind of navigate and make better decisions as a man. Since like I said, I grew up in church. My grandmother, my grandfather made sure that we was in church, when not weekly but daily. So we was in church 3-4 times a week, and I think that I am a product of the scripture when it says train up a child in the ways to go, so when they get older they won't depart from it. Because I did make some decisions and went the other way. I left church, started doing other things, and eventually came back to Christ and came back to God, and that's when my life changed, because I made a decision to follow God. I made a decision to follow him for real, because to be honest with you, I know how to do church without Jesus.
Right.
if that makes any sense. I know how to do church without Jesus, because I grew up learning how to do church, to be religious, right? And once I really built a relationship with Christ myself, then I found out it's not even about being religious. It's about having a relationship with God. So my relationship with God allows me to now be a little more mature, not only in his word, but as a man, as a father. And overall, my overall life has changed because my decision of making the decision to want to be with God and do what God called me to do. It says in the word, and all that get an understanding. So daily I ask God to give me an understanding of how to do this, how to do that, how to treat my wife right. You know what I mean?
That's good.
How to lead his people, since he done put me in that position, because I didn't have a clue. Nothing I do today came with a handbook. So I have to ask God daily, how do I do this? How you want me to do this? How you know what I mean? And sometimes he don't answer.
Right.
Y'all missed that. Sometimes he don't answer. Sometimes God just allow you to go ahead and move how you move. You know what I mean? And let's see what your decision's gonna be. You know, so to answer your question, my life with Jesus is he has blown my mind. He is, but I never ever saw myself as being a pastor. And when it was spoken in my life as a kid, I didn't take it serious. And then God just started moving me in different directions in ministry, because all I wanted to do for real, I ain't want to go back to jail.
Right.
I'm be honest with you. So when I finally got out of jail, because of my decision making, it cost me to have to go to jail for 15 years. So I was in jail for 15 years, and I said, God, once I get out of this, man, I just want to do right, whatever I gotta do, right? And I came home and I just started serving in church. It wasn't even about the relationship with God. I knew if I'm in the church house, I ain't going back to jail.
Right.
But if I go in the street, I'm gonna do something crazy and I'm going back to jail. But because I was in the fellowship of the saints, I was in the Word daily. I was around people that was pulling on me and pushing me to do better. And because of all that, man, God started, using me in other areas. Start doing things in my life that I could never see myself. Never see myself a husband. Not a faithful husband. I never saw that. I'm being honest with you. I never saw myself as being a mentor to somebody else's child. Not me. All the decisions I made in my life.
But so God could use it can use anybody.
Yes.
And sometimes you think you're not qualified, and you are. You think you're not qualified enough to do these things.
Yes, and I still think that daily. I don't think I'm qualified, and I'm not. But because of His grace and His mercy, He uses me. So I at least want to give Him my all, and a little bit that I know, and let Him do the rest. So my willingness blesses somebody else. Whatever, as long as I'm willing, God do the rest. Right. So I just be a willing vessel. Whatever God, whatever you want me to do. If you want me to sweep the floor,
whatever,
I sweep the floor.
If I wanted to visit your church, what's your preaching style?
My preaching style? I don't know. I don't know what my preaching style is. I preach Jesus. That's my style. I preach Jesus. You do have people that have certain type of styles when it comes to the way that they preach. Some preach and they call it hooping, which is the celebration of a preacher after he done delivered his word. Well, that's not my style. My style is I teach. I teach and I try to bring the word to today so you can see it in your life.
Right. Because
I know how I felt coming up as a Christian and as a person who was trying to learn how to read the Bible, learn how to fit into the life of Christendom, right? And I knew reading the Bible, reading the King James Version, and sitting down listening to my grandfather preach wasn't doing it,
right?
Because I didn't understand what he was saying. I didn't understand the English that was in the King James Version. So I believe that God has called me to bring His word to today in raw form,
right?
And
where
be
people
relevant,
can relate.
Be relevant. So my style, if I had to give it any type of title, I would say that I'm a relevant teacher, where I can take the word and show it to you in today's time.
Can you tell me what your favorite sermon is and why?
What's my favorite sermon? I preached a sermon at Liberty House. I don't know if you was there, but I preached a sermon at Liberty House that kind of changed the trajectory of my life when it comes to ministry. And it was Let It Go. Let it go. And I talked about letting things go in your past, letting things go that's hindering you from going to the next level in God, from going to that area where God wants to use you. But we continue to hold on to the things that we felt was painful. I ain't telling you not to feel what you feel. Feel what you feel, but get through it too. Know that God can bring you through it. He will bring you through it, and trust Him and have faith that He's gonna bring you through it. But a lot of times we carry that. We carry that. He violated me when I was young, and here it is, 40 years later, you still battling with that.
Or you're angry at someone 10 years ago.
Yeah. Or you had a bad relationship, and you sometimes don't want to take your accountability of why the relationship went bad. Because you don't hurt me, and all I can focus on is that you hurt me. But I saw the signs before you even got started. Before, you know what I mean? I saw the red flags before we even got into the relationship. I don't want to deal with that. I just want to deal with the fact I was offended. You hurt me. My pain. I can't let go of my pain. But when you going to be real with yourself and realize that, hey, I played a part in that.
A lot of people like like you said, point out what other people have done to them,
Mm-hmm.
but not what they done to other people.
Yeah, or what you done to yourself.
Right. That's true.
Because a lot of times, our area of pain started with self-inflicted first. Because we want to do what we want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to date. I want to date the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the whole time that it wasn't gonna work out before I even got started. But I thought that I could change her. She thought she could change me. You thought you could change him. And then you end up in a 15-year abusive relationship, and all you can think about is the abuse. But you never think about the decision that you made before the abuse. You knew, but you still went into it. So that was one of my favorite sermons that I preached, because God used me mighty in that way, because I got a lot of people that came to me and talked about how it blessed their life. Let it go.
Let it go. I'm going to have to go back and watch that. That's good, Jody.
I'll send it to you. I got it saved.
Let it go.
I go back and let it minister to me sometimes. Yeah.
Because you're right. We always point the finger at somebody else instead of pointing the finger at ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we tend to do that daily, you know. What advice can you give anyone who made some mistakes when they were younger?
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. You gotta let it go. Yeah, I mean, mistakes was made, and God can take those mistakes, make it your testimony, and then you can use that testimony to bless others. It can become your ministry to help somebody else come up out of there. It can become your ministry to save somebody else's life. Like I said, that a lot of my decisions that I made became expensive. But when God freed me from that jail, he freed me. I ain't in that cell no more, and I refuse to stay in it. And I refuse to go back to it.
Right.
So your mistakes is your mistakes. It don't have to.
It don't define who you are.
Who you are. Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. It don't have to. It don't have to define your future. You know what I mean? So that's my advice. Let it go. Do what you got to do to get past it. It's over with. Let's build.
That's good, Jody.
Let's build.
So tell everyone about your church, where it is, and if they wanted to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
Well, my church is Restoration Christian Center. We at 15806 Livingston Road in Accokeek, Maryland. If you go on Facebook, we are Restoration Christian Center in Accokeek, Maryland. You will see our picture, me and my wife, on there. And our services are every Sunday at 10 a.m. We would love for you to come and be a part of the experience that happen every Sunday. We can't do it without you. It's not about us. It's about all of us. It's not. You never know. You show up and your smile may bless somebody, save their life. It ain't just about the pastor. A lot of times we go to church and we think it's about the pastor. I'm going to get a word. I'm going to get a word. But you might be the word that need to be there. You may be the deliverance that somebody need. Your smile, your word, your hug. But we done got so now because of the pandemic, it become easier just to stay home and watch it online. But it's nothing like being in the fellowship of the saints.
Nothing like
You can't bless nobody from your camera. I'm sorry. You can't bless nobody. You can't be a blessing to somebody that's in the house that really need it. They have struggled to get to the building because they have heard that if I just make it to the building,
everything's gonna be all right.
And then they get there and you're not there. And you the person that they need to come in contact with so they can be freed from their bondage. We gotta stop being selfish. Staying home, laid back, twinkling your toes with your coffee, and you looking at the sermon online and getting your word, and then you feel like you did it. I did it this week. I went to church. No, you missed it.
It's nothing like corporate worship.
You left somebody hanging.
It's nothing like corporate worship.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Like Kevin said to me all the time, when you're like you said, when you're not there, your presence is best. Somebody is looking for you to be there, and it didn't dawn on me till recently. Like if he'd be like, this person asked about you because you wasn't in church, or this person asked about you, and I was like, oh, they thought, my presence must mean something that they realized that I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people come to church and get lost in church. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's good.
So it talks about it in the Bible about not forsaking the fellowship, right? Why you think that is? Because we need each other.
We need each other.
I need you, you need me, right? And when you're not available, then you leaving me hanging. My life depends on you. That's how you got to think when you get up in the morning. Somebody's life depends on me today. No. So because of that, I'm not gonna leave them hanging. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean, fall them short. I'm gonna show up, even when I don't feel like I'm gonna press my way. A lot of times when you do that and you press your way, you be so happy afterwards that you did that because it was something waiting for you. Yeah. When you got there, it was something there for you. You wake up every day expecting something. God gonna do something, but I got to do my part. What is it that God want me to do? And if He does nothing else, He wants you to show up.
But if He does nothing else,
if He done nothing, He woke you up. But if you done nothing else today, you show up. That's what it's about. Being consistent. I'm talking about that this week too. Being consistent in the things of God. Being consistent because God is looking for consistency in you. He consistent. Why can't you be? My mother said it all my life. Treat people how you want them to treat you. Treat God how you want God to treat you.
Oh, Jody, that's good. Treat God how you want them to treat you.
They call it today karma. You know what I mean? But treat God how you want God to treat you. Show up. Be a blessing to somebody. It's not about you always receiving, but you got something to give. Yeah. And I think as Christians, we need to understand it. You have something to give. It ain't just about you going in to receive a word. Even with your shortcomings, your insufficiencies, everything that you got going on in your life, your bills, your problems, everything, you still got something to give to the body of Christ.
Okay. I hope something that we share today bless your soul. And if you're looking for a church in Akakeek, Maryland, please check out
Restoration
Christian
Center, 15806 Akakeek, Maryland. Also, go to Amazon. My book is called A Mess to a Message. It's on Amazon. Purchase it. It'll bless your life.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having me.